Saturn was up high in her chart at that point. So she got up towards Saturn up high, and that's about the time, I don't know if I want, then it starts backing up. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but her Mercury started backing up, then it backed up. It's not until 2908 that it goes direct. So her Mercury is retrograde, which means it's basically going back over everything that happened to her from about 86 up to 2007. That whole first cycle of her life, she's going back over that again, rethinking it, using astrology, built up the astrology in this time, and it's helping to figure out what's going on. Then it turns around in 2908. As it turns around, Mercury goes direct, and she gets to go over all of these things again. So I had this Mercury retrograde back and forth in my third house, so in Scorpio, so it gave me time to go back over things in my life. My 3 marriages were on Mercury retrograde and divorces, but my mind went back and forth over the same thing. It really empowered the Scorpio depth of my thinking with astrology. She doesn't have it in the depth. She has it with the scope and the philosophy. She's going over what's right and wrong and the principles out in the world and in the world around her during this time. So she's really developing or expanding her mind in a Jupiterian way. Okay, like in the 9th house, or the understanding way. It's in Venus so that she can be appreciated. So you can see that there's going to be writing, there's going to be teaching, there's going to be writing, it's getting these ideas out to people, and eventually it's going to start picking up. So it hits the midheaven even years after. So her progressed sun gets up there, Saturn gets up there, Mercury's going up there. It's all moving up to that midheaven to accomplish something, but Saturn's moving away from it now, so that's a heavier weight. It's only for a time. She's got work to do on herself to make herself more together. She can certainly see how much she can get by without making it together. I'll just get by with this. Or she can certainly see what she has to do to make it better. She's already on that track. She took redid the whole classes. Not redid it, she studied on her own, was established on her own, and then came to learn it again, which is a big deal. Once people know it, they don't usually think to go over their foundations again and to add new things, which she has done. So there's the destiny, and her Mercury's working up and it's building up to the midheaven. That's enough. We don't have to go really greater detail into this right now. I just wanted to add that, see where it was against the background of the Sun and the Saturn. And when we get here, now we get the Venus. Now Venus is an interesting story. Her Venus starts retrograde. So she has Venus conjunct her Sun. It will always be conjunct with Sun and retrograde, but there's 2 types of Venus conjunct the Sun. If Venus is going direct, it's on the other side of the Sun, the Sun from the Earth, and it's farthest away. It's fainter, and the Sun would be stronger. But here, the Venus is retrograde. It's between the Earth and the Sun. The choice of what it wants becomes really strong. It's predominant. It's added on top of the Sun. The Sun, the values have to be there before the Sun kicks in, and the Sun has to give extra importance to that Venus. It's between the Earth and the Sun. So like this accentuates the Venus more. So her Venus starts retrograde, which means from birth, she's been going forward in life, but her emotions have been going back into another lifetime, into before she was this lifetime. And that means she got here in her mind, the things she's having, I don't know, you call it abuse or whatever, things going on, Moon, Pluto, all these confusion things, they were going on with her parents when she was born. They're not just factors in her chart, they're the play of the parents when she was born, not when she took on this chart. So she came into life and worked and was dealing with all these things, and that whole time Venus is retrograde is going back to another, her emotions are going back to another lifetime to try and find what appreciation, find what I want, to find the love, the emotion, the values that I want. It's backing up, what's not here, it's not here, it's not here. It's going back, where was I? Well, it's like it's taking one's inner spirit back. So she's in the world functioning, but not emotionally being satisfied. Emotionally, she's more detached. Now, if you're emotionally detached with this Sun, Neptune, Venus, Neptune, that tendency to be evasive, what's sincerity? What's stability in a relationship? It's old karmic things coming up. Until 1999 August, Venus went direct. Okay, at that point, it started going for her. She got back to the point she had to learn, and her values kicked in, and it's not backing up any further. But still, it's working on things from before this lifetime. It's still evaluating things before this lifetime. It's still going back and forth over the same issues. Comes forward, reassessing, reevaluating, And in 2018, like at around 2 years old, or 4 or 5 years old, Venus probably conjuncted the sun. And now it's conjuncting again. In 2018, it conjuncted the sun. Sometimes that's the love of life, or one's seeing the values or the talent of one's life, one's getting visions of things. That's the Venus conjuncting the sun is a very powerful time. This happened, but it was still before where Venus was when she was born. It's still connecting to things of a past life, to valuing things, to understanding things. There's still karmic things tied up with trust in other people. So it could be someone else coming up in your life, but it still has a bit of a shadow it's going forward, which is positive. And it's not going backwards anymore. It's trying to catch up to get to what's right, guess what's working, to get into this world with our emotions, where satisfaction can become now, not something that was once before, or how come it's not, or like this complication with the Venus retrograde. But in 2022, which is not very far away, Venus conjuncts Venus, comes back to its starting point. She's finished going through her whole having emotions. Well, I had this in another lifetime. How come this isn't here now? I had this. How come this isn't happening? It's like of having the emotions tied up to other things, not people in the world here. But from 22 on, Venus goes forward into her life and will move up to her midheaven. And without having to rethink it or double think it, she's going to be going much more straightforward and in the world with a sense of what I want for my life and what I want now. This is progression. It's an inner thing. It's an inner measurement. It's not just something you see easily outwardly, but she would be able to relate to that very clearly. And that would be a point, boy, I can't wait till I get into this world. My emotions aren't going back into old karmic things, old things before this lifetime. I'm finally free to start making choices now and for the future. So that's another thing about that. So these are imponderable inner forces going on within the transits and the progressions. It's in the progressions, it's happening within the transits, and these are part of the textures of life. It's only in your 40s that you begin to start sensing progressions. It's not taking your 60s or 70s you really start seeing them more clearly. They're happening. It's not like you're making them happen. They develop within the other seam. But when they're developing and they're aligning, this is all 8th house trust issues. Her Venus in her 8th house most of her life. For the last, from about 2050 on, it's in the 9th house of being appreciated for the teacher, of value, having values go much more into the morality and the principles of things. Okay, good enough. I should have gotten closer. This just gives the dates a little more closer of the same things. So 2022 September, and in Venus was, oh yeah. So okay, another thing to point out with the Venus, just looking at the chart on the right here at the same time, her Venus comes back, conjuncts the Sun in 2018, conjuncts the Venus in 2022. Okay, that's 2 degrees and 4 degrees of Virgo. Then it's going to square the Mars and square the Neptune. It's going through the T-square. So squaring the Mars and Neptune is going to add a few more years to this confusion. Venus, Mars, got to do this, I got to live it out this way. And that's going to lead into another type of Venus, Neptune. And I think 2028 is when Venus hits the Neptune and then finally moves on beyond the Neptune, and it doesn't hit that confusion anymore. These are long-term things. They're strong things to swallow. Say, is this really is that long? So but when you sit on that, you're tuning into your own cycles, and it tends to. It's a reinforcement to reflect on these and to see them and to allow for them and to see them working in your life. Okay, so then I do the progressed. And usually, often I do the progressed chart where I go back 1 to 2 years and forward 4 years. But in this case, I went back 5 years and forward 4 or 5 years, just because I was curious to see where a few things went. I wanted to see in the Venus, and it's going retrograde. It was going back to Leo. I wanted to see when it went back into Virgo. It went back into Virgo in 2014. So it was in Leo before that. I want to play, I want to be noticeable, I want to be best. And it's in Virgo, gets a little more analytical since 2014. And as soon as it did that, all her difficult transits were coming up. She wasn't playing the role anymore. It's the Virgo and the analyzing of what's going on here. And then Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, Pluto all kicked in 2015. Just as the Venus went into Virgo. And by 2017, just marking, these are all the aspects, moon aspects, everything. So I didn't mark them all. 2017, and she started her astrology class, the progressed moon on the midheaven. And just before that was conjunct Uranus. Okay, but the progressed sun, we had it August. I had it August on the sheet, but here it was actually exactly conjunct Venus on July 31st. Yes, on July 31st, August, September, July, August, when it came back and conjuncted. So you want to know what was going on there? What were your emotions like? What were you feeling? Was it a positive Venus hug, or was it a discontent? Most likely, usually that's a fairly positive thing, but a strong feeling here. And then in 2019, August, this past August, Mercury is opposing the moon. She's working through the classes, but at the same time, she's going another part of her trying to talk to her dad and her stepmom, and it wasn't working out, and she was struggling with that. It's a couple of months since she came back. Now, the next step is the moon, progressed moon will hit the ascent in 2021. So that's October, so that's a year from now, 2 years from now. Progressed moon for these 2 years is going to be in the 12th house. I don't really hold on to that too tightly, but it's there, and you feel the difference when it goes into the first house. And just as it hits the first house, progressed Venus conjuncts Venus. Progressed Venus gets back in, her world really starts new with the progressed moon cycle starting new, and the progressed Venus cycle conjuncting itself and starting new. There's a whole new picture, a whole new quality. It could be a special relationship comes in, one that might work. It could be using her talents. It could be hard to say. If she got the video stuff together, she could have put a video together that would really become popular and famous, and it could really take her into the new directions. She's not critical or doubting herself.